my name is Rickey Negron. I'm part of the Cinema Committee at ArtsQuest, and here are my top 10 films of the decade. My number 10 film of the decade is Cinque Street by director John Carney. It's one of my favorites, put simply, because every once in a while you need a nice break from the serious and kind of dense typical Oscar fare. And being a fan of his work over the years, from Once to Begin Again and every musical film he has tapped thus far, Cinque Street just seemed like a perfect culmination of all of his techniques that has garnered over the years. And for those reasons, Cinque Street is my number 10. My number 9 film of the decade is Cabin in the Woods from director Drew Goddard. Having been a fan of horror films that kind of push beyond the envelope of jump scares, I believe that Drew Goddard was onto something a little more intellectual underneath all of the illusion of what a horror film should be and what they usually look like. And again, I just think it was one of the stronger scripts of the last decade. It's a film I come back to almost every year to watch when it's Halloween season. And yep, Cabin in the Woods is phenomenal. My number 8 film is The Florida Project. Sean Baker is someone who manages to capture humanity very well and packages it in a very vibrant and colorful landscape. And I think for me, The Florida Project is a good example where style elevates a film. And again, Willem Dafoe was phenomenal and snubbed for The Florida Project, but we won't talk about that. My number 7 film is Roma, which is a recent Netflix film. Put simply, I think Roma is probably one of the best works of art I have seen over the past couple of years. The cinematography in general was quite stunning, and the fact that he did it all by himself, the cinematography, the direction of the film, and making something that was also black and white but seemingly relevant to today's perspectives was beautiful to me. And also it's very culturally important, and for those reasons, that is why it's my number 7 film of the decade. Number 6 is actually from this year. It's Parasite. I had very high expectations because it was that film that everybody saw at the film festivals and were like, this is the film that's talked about, this is the one that's going to blow everyone away. And I believe it delivered on from the production value to the acting. My number 5 film of the decade is Xavier Dolan's Mommy. I love this film particularly because of how it dealt with aspect ratios, and I just remember I've never seen anything in which the aspect ratio was controlled by the actor's performance, and for those reasons I think Mommy just over the years have stood out, or there's certain images in my mind that just stand out from that film. And yeah, it was just an experiment that paid off. Number 4 is The Witch, from the director who just recently made The Lighthouse. 2 very phenomenal films. The Witch, again, is another film that dealt with horror, but in a non-cliche way. It didn't focus on jump scares or cliches, but rather it was a slow burn and really performance-driven to me. I think The Witch will be remembered for a very long time to come and referred to often. Yep, that's my number 4. Number three is a film that everybody loves from the last decade, or it seems so anyways. It's Mad Max Fury Road. And my story about that is, I walked into Mad Max with no expectations, and as I was sitting there watching this bizarre, dystopian, whatever it is, I just remember recalling that I was highly emotional, and I don't know why I was emotional, but it was just because I was unpacking what was happening on screen so quickly, because it was being delivered to me so quickly. And for whatever reason, I still can't tell you why, so there's no good reason, Mad Max will just stick in my mind for its imagery and the fantastic score that was also snubbed. This is a snubbed list actually of the last decade. But yeah, Mad Max, Tom Hardy, George Miller, perfect duo. Can't wait for the next one. Beautiful film. My number 2 film of the decade is Her from Spike Jonze, starring Joaquin Phoenix. Something that draws my attention from Her that people might not notice all the time is the set design, and the production design was almost perfect for this type of film because it was still set in the future, but it felt like almost timeless. And from the way they dressed and from the way they inhabited the space around them, it felt almost timeless, but also a very near future. So I call back to that all the time. My favorite film of the decade is Whiplash from Damien Chazelle. The best way I can put it is there is nothing wrong with Whiplash. It is a lesson in masterful directing, masterful writing, masterful performing, from Miles Teller beating the crap out of the drum, from J.K. Simmons throwing drums at people. I tell everybody that asks about Whiplash, I don't think, I can think of a change to every one of my favorite films. Whiplash is still the only film to this day that I would not change a single frame of that film, and I stand by that for the rest of time.